Government auction property, houses with opening bids of $13,000, and these things can be worth as much as $225,000. So that's what we're going to show you here today in this this stream, or if you're watching the replay. So we're going to go to a secret location and reveal to you where some of these are. Now, the opening bid is $13,000. The market value is $225,000. Does that mean it's guaranteed you could get it for $13K? It's hard to say. Is there a chance that it happens? There's always a chance that someone could scoop one of these up for the opening bid. It does happen for people who watch this this channel and this content. So I want to lead everybody here with a riddle and see if you can guess where it is. Okay. So the location we're going to go to today, and the riddle is this: the only man to score 4 touchdowns in one game. I'm wondering if there's any millennials here that may remember staying up late on the weekends just to watch this show, to witness the magic of Mr. Al Bundy scoring 4 touchdowns in one game. Legend to all of us against the spare tire Dixon. Maybe you guys remember this scene where they battle it out again. So that is where we're going to go today, to the Polk County. And to do this, you already saw the dream team down here at the bottom. We're going to bring in Mr. Corey Chase, Darth Vader in the background, Mr. Josh Blanchard. Josh is our title expert, goes to auctions, boots on the ground, thrown out many of boots on the ground, has put many miles on many of rental cars going to these auctions. And we're going to share with you guys here some properties coming up in Polk County. And we found a good one. Opening bids $13K, value $225,000. And we like to expose properties on this channel that go to government auctions and show you how. So Josh, without further ado, let's just cut to the chase. Or is it cut the chase or cut to the chase? I think it's cut to the chase. Show them what's up.
All right. Very good. Let's dig in here. And you guys can see my screen. Yeah, it's up there. We've got vault.taxlienschool.com. And so on vault.taxlienschool.com, you need an account here. You can just go ahead and see the next 7 days at auctions. And of course, if you want to get an account, come on in here and sign up. But you can come in anytime, see what's going on in the next 7 days. So we've got a few different counties in Florida coming up this week. So this is relevant, and they're happening later this week. So here is Polk County. This is going to be Thursday, May 15th. Let me show you the numbers on this. So this first one right here, a tax deed sale. So it's always got to make sure this is actually a tax deed sale. Sometimes you might see something else in here. Might not be a tax deed sale, so verify that. We've got an opening bid of $16,825 and then an assessed value of $168,000. So why don't we go ahead, let's take a peek. Let's open this thing up. So there's a few things we're going to be looking out for. I'm going to pull it up on Zillow here, just see what Zillow is saying. So we've got a 2.2, 1130 square feet, 6,000 square foot lot built in 1985. It's got a Zestimate of about $225,000. So we could go ahead, we could verify that and have a look. Let's also open up the parcel ID. Now, one of the reasons you want to open up the parcel ID, could you imagine if the parcel line was just a driveway? Or what if the parcel line was just the backyard? Or what if the parcel line was going through half of the house? And so we always want to verify the parcel line because it happens. We've seen it time and time again. So this is looking pretty clean. We've got our house here, but there's been a lot of times that there could be a neighbor's shed on our yard, or the neighbor's shed could be on someone else's yard, or this could just be going literally through half of the house. And so those are things that you always want to avoid, but this is looking pretty good. And so we always go against the parcel map. So let's go ahead. Let's take a look at comps real quick. I'm going to show you how I use prop wire. Really easy, really quickly here. Just do a quick comp, throw it in. See what we're looking at, because Zillow is suggesting $225,000, but it's just all algorithm. We've got to go in manually and have a look around. So I'm going to take that property address, put it into prop wire. Just a little bit of quick due diligence. So this is suggesting $241,000. This has actually got 3-2-1130 versus 2-2-1130. So it wouldn't be a bad idea just to check another website just to verify that. But here we go. We got a quick comp map We're going to get this pretty granular real fast. Same number of bedrooms, same number of bathrooms, because we just want to compare apples to apples. Also built within 10 years. Let's have a peek. So we got a couple solid comps. What I'm really paying attention to is the price per square foot. That's what's most important. So you can see we've got an average here around $220 a square foot. So if we were to take the average of these four, we're sitting at about $250,000. If we get rid of the highest one, which is this one, that puts us down to 246. So we are truly looking at a property that is valued somewhere between 240, 250 in that ballpark. So we can actually see that this is a little bit low compared to the actual comps. And that's what we're looking for. Our recent sales. So these are all in the past year, very similar. So, I mean, this is looking like a really, really good deal. The other thing that we would want to do prior to buying this is just do a title search. Those nasty city liens, those are not going to get wiped. Municipal liens, things like that. So we would subtract those from our max bid. But all in all, this is looking really good. We've checked the parcel lines, and we've also checked the comps. So $16,000 is the opening bid, and we're well above the 168. We're sitting at 250, 240. So really, really good margins there. We're really excited about that one.
Nice. And for anybody just joining, we're looking at some properties. Right now we're in Polk County, looking at some deals coming up here. And if you're joining, this is live, so you can ask some questions. I see several of you guys logging on. So go ahead. What are you working on with tax liens, tax deeds, government seized property? We're here to answer your questions right now. Live, you have us. If you're watching the replay of this, put your questions in the comments. We would love to hear from you, or put your favorite Al Bundy moment in the comments. Because, very, very rare that you get to expose, been bragging about 4 touchdowns in one game most of my life. Corey, Josh, did you guys ever watch Married with Children?
No,
I have not.
Beyond, I think is just getting off.
You missed that one. So anybody who knows it, whenever you wanted to brag or you did something, you just be like 4 touchdowns in one game. Like, don't talk to me. So that was the flags. Hopefully, we know some folks can tune into that. So what's that?
I have a question for Josh.
Sure. Yeah. Sounds good. Let's get these guys going here. We got some questions coming in. Much appreciated there. So ask your questions if you like this. Thumbs up. And remember, anybody that tunes in, we try to give away everything we can. Like, for example, the tax deed directories that have all of the contact information for these places. Maybe you want to go to Arkansas or Alabama. It has all of the contact information. And then this is all free in the description below. Or there's a QR code if you want to get the book. All of that is in the description to help you get started as our gift to you. It's totally free to check that out if you like. So we're looking at these properties here. We're going to find some more of them. Answer your questions. We'll dive in. Corey, you had a comment or a question there?
Yeah, I was just curious, Josh, why the assessed value, this is for maybe the newer people, says 168 there, but when we did the comps, it was actually more. Why could that be the case?
Yeah, we could take a look here and we could see exactly how they've got it assessed and what's going on. So here they're actually saying that the market value in 2024 is about $198,479. And generally, there's always going to be a bit of a lag. I think that if we were to look at the market data, like if we were to go to Redfin market data, we would see that things are probably increasing, each year. People are always trying to push a higher ARV. And so maybe a year ago, a more fair market value might have been 220 or 198. But we can see that they've got a homestead cap there. So it's shaving off a pretty decent amount of that. About $30,000 is taking off. So it's saying the taxable value is 168, but it is higher than that. But yeah, you're always going to have a higher ARV unless things are going backwards. Unless the ARV is going down and the market is getting cooler and cooler, then it might be more in line with it. But if things are pretty hot, then the assessed value is always going to lag behind.
Nice. Fun fact. So I was just pulling up some data here as we're saying, government auction house for 13K worth 225. So when it comes to data on these types of auctions, these types of bids, one of the things that we always say is it's not a matter of if you get deals in this. As long as you stick with it, it is a matter of when. And I just pulled this up right now, and basically in competitive counties, 5% to 20% of the time, properties can go for the minimum bid. So 5% to 20% of the time. So that means even on the low end, if it's 5%, that would mean 1 in 20 auctions, you could be scooping up something for minimum bid. Or on the high end in a competitive county, that could be 1 in 5 where you're going to scoop something up for a minimum bid. Now, if you're going out to some of the smaller counties, those odds go up quite a bit. So when we think about it, it's a game of consistency, right? And anybody who follows this channel or gets started with this business, they do get these hits, but they have to keep showing up, right? And when we take into account all of the time that we waste in our lives, like do the old tattletale on your phone as far as how much time you've spent on your social media in the last week or the last month. So for example, I can see here, mine's actually pretty low. Let me go back another week. The week before, I have blockers. Okay, here's the thing. Last week, I spent an hour and 50 minutes on Instagram, right? Whereas some people, maybe that's way higher. Maybe some of you guys are spending hours. That same time could be put into these auctions because they're online. And so what if you have to put in 2 to 4 hours a week and maybe 1 out of 5 times you get a property that could make you $10,000, $20,000, $50,000, right? That's why we love this government auction game. And that's why it's such a great place to get started in real estate. The problem though, is you get folks in this world that we live in today of just instant gratification. They go to one auction and, it got bid up to market value, or it's junk, or there's a reason these things go to the auction. These are all excuses, generally either by person A, who's never been to an auction, or person B, maybe they went to 1 or 2 auctions and it didn't go their way, right? It's like you want to learn how to play basketball and you lose your first game, so you just give up forever, or you don't win. So this is a game for people who want to show up. And the cool thing is it's easier than ever. A lot of the stuff that we do, you can go to these auctions or basically from the comfort of home. You just need to show up. And that's what we're here to help you do. We're doing boots on the ground. Josh just came from the Texas auction last month. We've scooped up tons of amazing deals. Josh, maybe there was that really crazy deal that one of the students got last week, was it, with an over-the-counter? Can you?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Real quick?
Yeah. So I've been talking with a student for a while, and they were working on the repository list in Pennsylvania. And it seemed like the tricky part was kind of figuring out where to get the information from and then dissecting it. But once he understood it, he started making offers to the county. And so some of these places you can offer $250, $800, $1,000, and made an offer. It was about a $200. $250 was the offer, and they accepted it. And so the delinquent taxes was much, 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 much higher than that. But they were just looking to simply cycle it. They wanted to get it out, get it back on the tax roll. So he bought it for $250. And then with the title company, insurance, everything like that, was all in about $1,000, and sold it for 15 grand cash. So really, he bought it for $250, sold it for 15 grand cash, but all in was $1,000. And those are just properties that are sitting there. And so it had been a couple months before that. He was just looking in the wrong places. He was going to places where either the rules weren't great, they weren't investor friendly, you could say. And so, sometimes there's over the counter stuff and there's a lot of hoops to jump through, and that they just aren't worth it. And so once we got him looking at the right spots, the right places, making offers, he was able to do that. And now he's got a.
Corey, did we lose him?
We did, yeah.
Well, this is a good thing. That's why teamwork. Sometimes it seems never fails. The internet, either mine could drop. Oh, Josh is back.
We're back now.
So what were you saying, Josh?
You got me back now.
Yeah.
What was the last thing that you would have heard?
He was looking at some property. You got him into,
Yeah, just got him into the right place, started making offers. And so now he's got more capital to be able to invest in this. And so he's able to expand further out and look at more things. But still, he's going to go back and make more offers and get more property. But a really, really impressive, turn of events. Because again, $250 for a mobile home. That's what it was. It was a mobile home. $250 is incredibly cheap. That's insanely cheap. That's like a year now. That's a year's subscription to Netflix, pretty much, and so there you go. Pretty cool.
Nice. Maybe Josh, can we see if he wants to hop on the live stream next week or even Thursday?
Yeah, that would be. Yeah, I can always ask him.
That'd be sweet, and then we can get some real world folks on here who start off watching the videos just like you guys. And thanks everybody for tuning in. We're looking at some property, and one of the best things you can do is watch and then go back and follow along with the video and just kind of pause as we go step by step as if it were training. So once again, welcome everybody. If you have some questions, put them in the live box there. We're going to dive into those here shortly. We're looking at Polk County here in Florida. And once again, if you guys want help, there's always this in the description below. If you don't have it, go get it. It's totally free. It walks you through absolutely every single step you need to do along with the directory. Like we used to sell this thing. Now it is our gift to you. This is all of the phone numbers for all of the counties as well. That's in the description. And if you ever want to come join us at one of these auctions, there's a link if you want to book a call and see maybe if you want to come join us at one of these trips, because like we mentioned, we just basically give away as much as we can and then work with a small group of people every single month. So let's crack into some of these questions here. Josh, I know you got to go soon, so we'll keep going. If you have questions, go ahead, put them in the box, and we would love to hear from you as we're going to dive into these. First time an auction, been watching your videos, trying to see how the process goes here in Houston. Right on. Well, we have lots of Houston content on the channel. We're basically there every month. Josh, if you could give a couple, maybe 2 power tips for Houston to Terry.
Yeah, power tips would be, you really got to pay attention to what kind of sale it is. So they've got 3 different kinds of sales in there. They've got a resale, tax sale, and then an execution sale. Execution sale just simply means that it's going to be either the HOA or some creditor, some lien holder foreclosing on the property. And so the execution sales, they don't wipe anything at all. Only whoever is foreclosing on them, their interest. So if it's the HOA, only the HOA fees go away. If it's a creditor or a lien holder, only that lien. So everything else stays. And what you really also want to be careful of is that there are some case files that are really old. That just simply means that someone may have stopped paying taxes for a decade, for instance. And the open bid may not actually include that entire amount of back taxes. So you're always paying attention to that as well, looking for what are the tax years in the judgment. And it's not an issue at a lot of other places, because most times, you're only going to be delinquent for maybe 1, 2, 3 years before you go to the sale. But in Texas, there are some people who slip through the cracks and they might be delinquent for 15 years. So if the open bid is, $2,000 and they've been delinquent for 15 years, there's a lot more than just $2,000 in there. So that would be, those are some really important tips, because it can get pretty hairy with all of these different kinds of sales happening at the same time. And then they're not all tax sales, but they're at the tax sale. So I know it's a bit tricky, but that's one thing to watch out for.
Josh, I think you just kind of distilled something. It's like to make something super simple. I feel like you just said a golden phrase that we can be using. It's like, they're not all tax sales, but they're at the tax sale. Like that's huge,
yeah,
especially in Texas, because one of the big mistakes people make is they think they're buying a tax deed property at the tax sale, but it's a homeowner association fee that's at the tax sale. So, that's every now and then there's a phrase that comes out, because sometimes I say it much longer winded in the sense of, you're at the tax deed sale and the sheriff is auctioning the tax deed sales, but then he's also, so I like that. Even though they're at the tax sale, doesn't mean it is tax sale property. So that's something to definitely keep an eye on in Texas. And somebody's saying here, do you pay for a title search? So with tax deeds, we generally don't. And the reason is because if you're looking at 100 properties and, you know, say it's 25 or 50 bucks a title search, that adds up. So the big thing that we're looking for is that the notices have been sent to the lien holders and that there's no city liens on that property as well, because the city liens generally don't get wiped out on the property. And like we've mentioned, we've seen horror stories where there's been $50,000 in grass cutting liens. How do I research if there's any tax liens? Well, you're tuned in here right now to the top YouTube channel on liens and deeds, just based on the data. But if you want to research tax liens, obviously you can go and look into tax liens. We've got a video coming out here where Corey walks through some real auction. But the big thing, like Josh was mentioning with the liens, as far as a tax deed sale goes, is you want to make sure your research includes researching the tax liens up or to that year's auction. So for example, if it's a case file 2022, there could be 2 years extra of tax liens on that property that you will be responsible for. So that's one thing to definitely keep in mind. But Terry, keep in mind as far as like if you want to start with tax liens or you want to start with the deeds. Once again, we recommend anybody with maybe less than 50 grand to start with the tax deeds. Let's see, if you win the auction of an owner-occupied property and they have 2 or 3 years to redeem, what is the process of collecting rent from the homeowners as they stay in the property? So Texas, we're able to collect rent, but Josh, does that include the homeowner?
Yeah. So even if it's the 2 years, you still have all of the rights to the property. The only right that the homeowner has is the right to redeem.
Excellent. So that's definitely something to keep in mind as far as like if you're buying a property in Texas, there's a 6-month redemption period, or if it's a homestead property, it can be up to 3 years. So it's important to keep that in mind. Let's see, Josh, you got to leave in 3 minutes, right?
Yeah, I got to call in 3 minutes. Yeah.
Great. So it's, you know, the meteor's coming, the asteroid's coming to wipe out the internet forever. What would be your parting tip, 90-second tip before you depart?
I was just looking at some of the questions there. I would say the tip would be to get to auctions, get to online auctions, get to virtual auctions, get to physical auctions, and then connect with people and network. We've had a lot of students, and once they come on an auction trip, they see how cool it is. They see property sell at a discount. They see that they could get into it and that they can do this and they have the confidence to do it. So it's really about getting involved and not just simply coming and consuming information, consuming knowledge, and then not acting on it. So you definitely got to get out there. And what we're really looking for is for you to attend something and for you to be really upset because you see how cheap property sells for, and you're like, oh, that could have been me. You know, there's going to be a lot of opportunities that come up. But if you don't attend the auctions, if you don't attend the sales, if you don't see it actually happening, then it's going to be, pretty hard to get motivated. And again, do that time inventory, because Netflix, Prime Videos, Instagram, all that stuff can literally suck your life away and leave you in a much worse place. So that's some parting words.
Nice. Thank you, Josh, for sharing the wisdom from
all right.
the field. We shall see you soon and continue here taking questions as now it is just myself and Mr. Chason, who forgot to put on a beautiful shirt for his fans.
I remember that halfway through.
Because Corey has some wonderful shirts that he has to go live, which he's known for across the land.
Dude, we should get Darth Vader a Hawaiian shirt.
Wouldn't that be a little mini Darth shirt. That would be sweet. That would be sweet. That's we have a couple assignments from today's video. Josh is going to talk to the guy who bought the Temple property. Yeah. Super cheap. Sold it for 15 grand. Corey has to bring back his shirt, but then get Darth snazzy So that would be wicked.
I'll look into it. It's got to exist. It's got to exist.
Sweet deal. Okay, here we go. Back to your questions. Once again, if you're tuning in, welcome. We just walked through finding a property with an opening bid of 13 grand worth 225. We walked you through the steps. So if you're tuning in now, you can go back to the beginning, watch that. Or if you're watching this for the first time, the thing that we recommend is go back and follow along with this video step by step so that you can use it as a tutorial to get your feet into this game. Because like Josh was just saying, the key here is to take action and actually do something, because there's lots of these properties out there, and it should make you upset that other folks are buying these things dirt cheap and you're not. It's as easy as it's going to be today. The best time for you to get started in real estate would have been 20 years ago, right? Or the second best time is today, because the worst thing that can happen is you're watching our videos this time next year and you still haven't done anything. When it comes to low-hanging fruit, creating wealth in real estate, there's a reason 90% of millionaires have done it through real estate, is because it can be black and white. We can look at a deal, we can analyze it, and we can take action. Especially these days with inflation and everything going on in the world, real estate is truly a safe haven. And with over-the-counter tax deeds, you can be going out there, putting in bids and scooping up these properties at really cheap prices. Like Josh was saying, $250 by the time he was all in, $1,000, and then sold it for $15,000. One deal really changed my life back in the day when I was working on the oil rigs, and my 40-acre land story, $4,200, sold it for 20. It was worth 40. Changed my life forever. And it's that saying, you just need to get that first deal and prove to yourself that you can do it. However, the hardest thing is taking that action and getting that first deal. And for those of you guys tuned in right now, everybody's on their own timeline in this business. For some of you guys, it might be possible even to have a deal, an over-the-counter property by the end of the day. Some of you might go to 5 or 6 auctions and not get anything, right? And at that point, it's up to you to decide, am I going to keep moving forward with this? Because when you look at everything else in your life or in society that can make you hundreds of thousands of dollars in a career or millions, whether it be a doctor, a lawyer, a scientist, you have to go to school for years, $150,000 in education. Whereas with this, all we want you to do is just take a little bit of action and be okay sometimes not getting something, right? That seems to be the biggest problem these days. And the biggest complaint is, I went to an auction, I didn't get anything. My county just has garbage over the counter. Everything got bid up past market value. And that's kind of the complaint. But if you keep showing up, it can happen. So Bill Edwards is saying, would it be better to evict? So remember, if you're in Texas or Georgia, or when you have access to the property during the redemption period, you cannot evict, but you can collect rent. If you win the bid on a property, then, one of the best things to do is try to do, first say, hey, what's your plan? A lot of the times it will be vacant when you win the bid, but sometimes if there's a renter in it, just start collecting rent that day and you'll be in great shape. Secondly, if you need to get them out, then ideally we try to do like a cash for keys, where we say, hey, here's $1,000 or $500 to get out of the property. We'll give you another 500 once you are out. So eviction is the last scenario that we go to, and out of hundreds of properties, we've only ever had to evict twice. Okay, let's see which is easier to evaluate, land or houses. Corey, fire away. I know you've done some videos on evaluating land.
Yeah. So with this one, I guess it depends on where it is. So if the land is in a populated area, it's easier to evaluate land because you just look at what other land has sold for in the area and you're good. If you're trying to evaluate land in the middle of the Sahara, probably not the Sahara, but in like the middle of the Las Vegas desert, outside of Vegas, where there's nothing has sold, it just makes it trickier to find comps. And so with both houses and land, you're just trying to find comps, which are just basically examples of what has sold and how much it's sold for. And so, I mean, we've looked in tons of places, helped students in tons of places, like, oh, excuse me. Ooh, there's some places in like Connecticut or in these like wooded areas, Georgia, Texas, where there's not a lot of land that has sold. So it just makes it harder to comp it. And so you'll just need to get the help of a real estate agent, possibly. But even with houses, like if you go back to the beginning of this video and watch, Josh pulls up PropWire and shows you how to comp a house in like basically 2 minutes. And we would normally put a bit more effort into that. We just kind of sped through it on this call or on this live stream. But it really just depends on what's in the area locally. So it can be both, and like one can be easier and one can also be harder. So it's kind of a hard question to answer, but they're both very similar if it's in a populated area where a lot of stuff has sold, and they're both very difficult if they're in a non-populated area or a place where stuff hasn't sold quickly. Sorry, my camera's over here. I'm looking here. It's all
That's
it's weird. But yeah, so that'd be my answer for that one.
Excellent. Let's see. Phil is saying, are there any over-the-counter deals which you don't have to bid and just buy the deed? So that's the beauty of an over-the-counter, an OTC, is you don't have to bid. You just go up to the counter, ask for the list, and you buy. So that's the beauty of an OTC, over-the-counter deal. Now, many counties will have over-the-counter properties. And basically, like we mentioned, for everybody who tunes in, we give away the deed directory, which has the contact information for all 1,500 counties that are out there. So for example, say you're in Minnesota and you would literally just download this. It's free in the description. And say you want to go to Ramsey County, you would just call them up and say, hey, when's the auction? And they'll give you the date. And then you ask them the questions that are in this book, which is also free. We have in here the checklist of everything you need to go through, and you ask and you keep a record, say, when is the auction? And then you say, are there any properties left over that didn't get sold? And that is an over-the-counter property. And then from here, we have all of the evaluation steps that you go through step by step. So that's for free in the description. If you don't have it, just grab it and print it out. It is the best free resource to get started. Like I say, we used to sell this, but now we just give it away, provide to our Tax Lien Deed community for anybody who wants to get started. And then from there, if you want to go to the next step with us, every month we go to live auctions. We bring a small group of people. There's a link below. You can book a call for that. Or if you want just one-on-one help to get a deal in the next 30 days where we can look at your properties and take you by the hand, there's a link to book a call for that. If not, all good. We're here to provide value, but we are transparent that we give away a bunch. And for anybody who wants to work with us, that's a second part of our business as well. Let's see here. Did we go through this one? Let's see. If you buy a tax lien, whether occupied or vacant, can you get some sort of insurance on it if someone is hurt during the redemption period? So to clarify this, if you get a tax deed property, the second you win the bid, you put property insurance on it, Farmer Brown's insurance. So that insures the structure of the property. However, liability insurance, if somebody, breaks their leg, if Usain Bolt comes for dinner and he trips and, he can't make the, the plus 40 running club, then from there, that's where, having a structure like an LLC would come into place to protect you against that. We're not lawyers or accountants, and we don't pretend to be ones on the internet. So what we do is make sure things are in an LLC so that if somebody does get hurt, that's why the term limited liability company comes into effect. For example, I heard there was a company in New York, like a taxi company, where they put every 2 taxis in its own LLC so that if, somebody crashed, they were only liable for 2 taxis. So, that's our feedback there. Do you recommend using a preliminary title search on a property through a title company to check the records? So once again, for tax deed sales, we generally do most of our tax or our title researches ourselves to see what's going on. If you are going to go buy it, say a foreclosure sale where there's less properties and more consequences, because if you're going to a foreclosure sale, sometimes if there's a second mortgage, that doesn't get erased. Or if you're going to buy at the homeowner association sale, which happens at the tax sale, like Josh was saying earlier, just because it's at the tax sale doesn't mean it is a tax sale property. Then in that situation, a title search could be warranted because you could be spending a lot more money and dealing with a mortgage that doesn't get wiped out. So, as we go through these concepts, I know in the beginning it can sound complicated. And to be fair, A, it's not that complicated once you understand it, but B, the good thing about it not being simple is the fact that not a lot of people rush into this business because there's not a lot of resources. And there's, like we mentioned in the directories, this is the lien directory that's free. There's 3,300 counties. There's 1,500 tax lien counties in here. And every county does things a little bit different. Like if you're in Mississippi, Adams County is going to be different than Benton County. So you have to get the rules to it. So there's 1,500 different sets of rules to play this game. And that's what we're here to do on this channel, is to help you learn the rules, how to navigate them, and give you, it's like whatever state you're in, say you live in New York, when you show up, if you road trip through every state, each state has a new speed limit, different rules that you know how to, abide by, because you know the general rules. So that's our job. And, that's why we provide the videos and the book that's in the description. If you want that, you will see the book many thousands of times here. And if you already have it, you can join us at an auction or book a totally free call, and we can help give you some one-on-one, or come join us there as well. Let's see here.
I can take the, yeah, sorry.
Want to take this one?
Yeah, I can take, Bill's got a few here we can kind of get through.
Yeah.
I'm just going to move my microphone over this way a bit. Oh, almost there. There we go. So Bill's saying, does the winning bidder, nice. You corrected that to bidder. In Texas, recoup the cost of insurance and maintenance if the owner redeemed within the period. So there are certain things like maintenance, structural fixes that you can like recoup. I don't believe insurance is one of them, but like if you have to like fix the windows or board the windows up or something like that, I believe there's a list on their website. But if you install an in-ground swimming pool and expect them to recoup that, they will not do that. So don't do that, Bill. But yeah, so there are like not necessarily improvements, but like structural necessities, I guess you could say, that they will recoup. Yeah. Bill's also saying, if a legal description says undivided interest 30%, does that mean there's more heirs? What happens if the other heirs come forward? So this one's a bit more complicated. We're not lawyers, we're not accountants, so we can't suggest that sort of thing. This would be something that we would probably, like if we were at the auction and it was a really good deal, we would dive deeper into it. But for those of you starting out, if you do see that something has undivided interest, like this, I think this basically means, and I could be wrong on this, Josh would know more, but I believe it's like, yeah, so someone else basically owns the other 70%, in which case they would have to be notified. And if they're notified, then I think it's fine. But something like this just carries with it some potential risks. And depending on how risk averse you are, you might not want to get into this. So I'll leave it at that, because it's a good question, Bill. And you can message us in our live chat over on taxlienschool.com if you want. We can chat a bit more about that. But actually, if you grab the book, there's a live chat in the members area there. But yeah, I'll end that there. And then Bill's last question: can the winning bidder in Texas take the proof of purchase to the county appraisal district and have the appraised value reduced to the winning bid amount? I don't think so. Oh,
in this situation, often the appraised value. Oh, he's back. He's back. Actually, Josh, he's back. Corey and I have been rapid fire, and let's just dive into the fray. Can the winning bid in Texas, can the winning bidder in Texas take proof of the purchase to the county appraisal district and have the appraised value reduced to the winning bid amount?
No, just because you could get it for a significantly lower price. For instance, if we found a motivated seller and we bought a property for $8,500 that's worth $200,000, just because we paid $8,500 for it doesn't mean that we're able to reflect that that's the actual value. And so, if you do get a deal, they're not going to be able to lower the price to meet whatever your deal was. It's always going to be the fair assessed value. And so the only way to lower it would, of course, be, if you make it your home, that would be the only way really to drop that amount.
Nice. Yeah. And there would be a whole bunch of people trying to like run rackets where they would like have $1 million house and then sell it to their wife for $1 and then be like, oh, tax me on $1.
Yeah.
Which you do see kind of, shenanigans on some of these properties where people think they're going to outsmart the auction by deeding the property to their wife or their relative. Josh, maybe you can expand on that one a little bit.
Yeah, we see that happen a lot. So if we do a title search, we'll do a title search the day before the auction, and we may see a property bouncing back and forth like 5, 6, 7 times. And what's happening is they're just simply transferring their interest as is. And so if the property is going to a tax sale and you transfer the interest as is, now whoever owns it owns a property that's going to the tax sale. And if they keep bouncing it around, it doesn't stop anything because they're just inheriting that bad situation. The bad situation being the property is going to the tax sale. So they now are in control of that. But if nobody pays the taxes, it doesn't get stopped. I think the worst thing that I've ever seen was someone had paid cash for a property maybe like 3 or 4 weeks prior to the auction. They paid $150,000 cash for a property, didn't pay the back taxes, and that property did go to the sale. This was just a week ago. It did go to the sale, and nobody paid the back taxes. And so, their mortgage gets wiped, and it was just wild. So it happens. Yeah, the taxes have got to be paid. You can't game the system.
Wild. Yeah. And this is such a business of, wild deals, right? And that's why consistency is king, because if you keep showing up, these deals will come your way. Now, if you're going to places where, say it's a super busy, like Los Angeles or Miami or San Francisco or Austin, like crazy markets, then obviously you can expect, bids to be higher. However, if it is your backyard, by all means, go to that auction. Part of this is getting experience and practicing. It's like a pilot, right? Before they fly the 747, they go in the simulator, right? And then they practice. And the cool thing about this is there's auctions online. Whether you're in a lien or a deed state, there's auctions that are going to happen. Even if you have no interest in going to that auction, go there, go practice. I'd say one of the biggest reasons people don't succeed in this business is they just get so sad when they watch our YouTube videos, they get the book in the description, and then they go to one auction and then they fail. Part of, as a real estate investor, that is one of the hardest things to overcome is futuring on unrealized profits. Okay. And, we're only human. We do, our brains will future forecast, but that's one of the hardest things, because especially in conventional real estate, things fall out. Or if you're going to bid and, like say the opening bid is 13 grand, it's worth 225, you're all fired up, right? You go to that auction, you're like, oh man, I got 20 grand. If I can get this thing for 20 grand, I can get that property for, it's worth 225, and I'm going to sell it for 150. And then I'm going to pay off my mortgage. And then we're going to go on that trip. And then I'm going to fix the car. I'm going to pay off the credit cards. I'm going to do all this stuff. And then you go to the auction and it gets bid up to market value. And oh man, the pain of that, right? It's like, wait a minute, I watched the guy on YouTube say that this is garbage. And then next thing you know, we have an enemy of the comments, right? And that happens all the time. So we try to be, realistic. Some of these will get bid up. Sometimes they'll go for opening bid. It really is a game of just consistency and how bad you want it, right? We do feel this is a great way for the average person to use their savings to get into real estate, but you will need to stick with it and keep at it, right? Everybody's timeline is going to be a bit different. Let's see. Do you need to get a real estate attorney to get a quiet title action? Yes and no. If you use tax title services, which work in most states, they can get the quiet title for you. However, if they don't cover the place, and a quiet title can happen if you need a guaranteed deed. Sometimes a tax sale, it'll be like a quick claim deed. So it depends on the property and the state. Most of the time, tax title services can handle that. And we do have a video on the channel going about it. Let's see, Alabama. We haven't done a lot in Alabama. However, they do tax liens and they do have over-the-counter tax liens as well. Josh, any comment on Alabama?
Yeah, I mean, we could show them real quick.
Let's do it.
Yeah, I'll put you in the right place. It's actually pretty cool. Let's see. It should be there.
Oh, do we need to share screen? Here we go. Oh, and for the YouTube algorithm or anybody tuning in, what we're showing is 100% public information. Everything we show you guys on these is public websites. You can go and pull information. We're not exposing anybody or anything. This is all public information that anybody can go look up at any given time. Sometimes Google thinks we're like exposing private information, which we're not. It's all free public information for everybody. Actually, I'll just take this one. What age did you start this business? How was it at first? I got into this now almost 22 years ago at the age of 20. And it was way harder back then. You didn't have all these resources online. I was watching VHS tapes on how to do this in my parents' basement. You'd have a big paper map when you went to a tax deed sale, take like hours to highlight the routes. You'd be navigating in like Texas. You'd miss a turnoff. It'd take you like 30 minutes just to turn around. It was way harder than it is now. Now it is easier than ever. However, in my opinion, the flip side of the coin is the devil is in the details, where now there's a million solutions on the internet. So whereas when I got into it, it was hard to get the information to actually do it. But now the thing is like, oh, I went to a sale, it didn't work. And then next thing you know, you see a video online of like easy commercial real estate, make $1 million flipping this or become an Amazon store or this or that. So back then it was like super narrow and deep. Now people have to fight against the bombardment of a million things. Anyways, Josh, over to your screen here. Ready?
All right, yeah. So I typed Alabama over-the-counter sales. It should be the first option for you, revenue.alabama.gov. And when you click that link, it's going to take you, and this is pretty much transcripts of delinquent properties. So these are all state-owned inventory. So I just clicked one randomly, which brought me to this one right here. And Baldwin County, you can see that this is all state-owned. So this is available. You can make an offer on it. Now, they're not the easiest to work with, but this is going to get you in the right place. These are all the different counties, and there's a lot of inventory sitting there. And of course, when you see this stuff like IRR, irregular, you want to stay away from that. That's an irregular piece of land, probably nothing good. But there are going to be some good deals in here. Actually, lots of good deals. Just have to sift through it. But this will get you in the right direction. So again, just got to Google Alabama over-the-counter tax sales. That is going to get you to this website. Is it easiest to deal with them? No, but once you learn the process, you can go ahead and start making offers and get property dirt cheap.
Nice. Josh, maybe Thursday, we've got a couple options. We can bring in our guy, perhaps if he's around, to talk about his over-the-counter. Maybe we do a little deeper dive over-the-counter in Alabama Thursday.
Oh, yeah.
Give the people
show the secrets.
What they're looking for. Let's see. If additional taxes come due during the redemption period, does the bidder have to pay those? Does that get added to the redeemable amount? Well, that would get carried over in the sense of, if it's in Texas and things do come up, you will be responsible for those once the deed comes to your name. However, if it is a tax lien, then if they redeem you, then they will be taking care of that. I wouldn't pay extra taxes or anything like that during the redemption period. Wouldn't do that. Let's see. Property in Alabama, appraised value $25,000. Assessed value is $5,000. What's the difference? Well, the county assesses things differently. Most of the time, they might assess at a certain percentage of market value, or they might not have up-to-date information or going off of when it was last sold. There's a mix of things that go into that. Josh, anything to add there?
I think maybe that's about 20%, the assessed value. So that's probably some kind of homeowner's reduction in the amount that they're paying taxes. So they're saying that the homeowner is paying taxes as if it's worth 5,000, but it's not worth 5,000, it's worth 25. So they're saying it's worth 25, but they're assessing it at 5. So yeah, they're paying taxes on 5, not 25.
Nice. Let's see. You're next live in Alabama. So for anybody who's kind of new, basically what we do on the channel is we give you guys a bunch of free information. And then from there, if you want to take next steps with us, you can get the book, which walks you through everything in the description to help you out, or you can come join us at a live auction. There's a link to book a one-on-one below for that. It's a free call, and we can discuss if you want to. You can scan the QR code. Maybe you want to come join us at one of these sales. It's very cool. You get to learn by doing, and we'll walk you through if you want to bid on things. We'll help you look at the list and really take you by the hand and give you one-on-one help as well. So Alabama is within a vicinity of Texas. We don't have an Alabama trip planned. However, we are in Texas almost every month. So if you guys are interested in that, there's a link in the description. You can come join that as well. We'll do a couple more questions here and wrap up. Let's see. How to understand what type of properties land in demand in different areas. It's hard to understand when I'm looking at lots in the desert, forest, or in the hills are really worth. So first off, if you're looking in the desert, it's probably not worth much. If you're looking in the hills, it depends what it's in vicinity to. So you just kind of need to pull on like, oh, this piece of land is farmland. It has access to power, utilities. This piece is in the hills, far away from everything. So you just kind of need to pull on that string there as well to do some research. And you can always contact realtors to, get more insight. What are the cons of real estate bought after the sale that didn't sell? Well, you'll see in the keyboard comments many times, be like, there's a reason it didn't sell at the auction, right? And they're right. Many times there's a reason. Maybe it's landlocked, maybe it's junk, maybe it's in the desert. However, there are great properties that sometimes don't sell at the auction. And that's the whole game of over-the-counter tax liens and deeds that were like the deal we mentioned earlier. Bought it for $250, gave the county an offer, all in $1,000, sold it for $15. There's lots of good stuff there. Let's see. What is due diligence? I've heard a lot about it. So due diligence is the research you do on the property before you buy it. Okay. To make sure there's no hidden liens or anything like that on the property as well. Let's see. We got a few more questions. Guys, you want to land the plane on this one? And I'll hop on to the next meeting.
Yep.
Sounds good.
All right, everybody. You're in good hands.
Just I'll remove you. Don't end your stream. I'll remove it. Yeah. Cool. Nice.
Let's see. Bill. Oh, do you know how to? I don't know how to work this actually.
Oh yeah, you're fine. I got you. I wonder if I can make you
Bill says, will any of you be in Houston, Harris County for the June 2025 sale? Yep, absolutely. If you want to come along, click that QR code. We are there. We've been there every month so far. Erica says, how much do you guys charge for us to go with you guys to the auction? So we'll have to get you connected with one of our sales reps to talk about that. Same thing, just click that QR code. Celebrity news, is it best to property every month? Is it best to best property every month or every 2 months or every year? I'm not sure what that question is. Is it best to best property every month?
Yeah. We can answer that later in the comments. Cool.
But we like auctions where they happen every month.
Yeah.
Because you get to come back every month. If you strike out 1 month, you can come back the next month. If you're looking at an auction that is only once a year, then if that's all that there is and you strike out that month, then you got to wait again for another 12 months. And so that's why when we were in Ohio building infrastructure, we would go to tax sales that were happening in Cincinnati, and then north up in Dayton, and south in Kentucky, and then west, east. So you can expand too. What was really cool about that was within about a 3-hour drive, we were able to touch like 12 counties or something like that, which gave us access to a lot of auctions. Okay, facts in the industry. Have you guys bought property in California a very long time ago in Riverside County? And that was when it was a bit easier to get deals in Southern California. So you could actually still get them. Maybe at the time, not necessarily in Los Angeles, but you were able to branch out and we were able to get one in Riverside. That's the other thing with California, is just once a year. So you're going to have to, probably go out if you want to be able to hit multiple auctions. The other thing too is that there's so much inventory. That's nice. Y'all look sharp. How tall is Corey? How tall are you?
6'11".
He's a tall man. But yeah, with California, there's so much inventory, and so it's easy to miss over something on the initial sale, and so they do their follow-up sale, and so there's sometimes though good deals that slip through the cracks. So it still happens even in 2020, 21, and nowadays.
Nice. Cool. Josh, I have to bounce off here soon, so we might have to land this plane because I might end it if I jump off.
All right, last question. Drunken Bear 92. What are the key things to look at to know a property is a good find on liens or tax deeds when researching a property? We talked a little bit about the beginning of this call. At the very beginning of the video, we're looking at ARV, open bid. We're checking for property lines. We're just making sure that we're going to have a buyer. That's a great thing. For a lien, if the lien has got a whole bunch of interested parties on it, they're probably not going to let it go to the end. They're probably going to redeem it. So if you're looking for a lien that you have a stronger chance of getting the property, you're not going to want to get a lien that has a mortgage on it. And you can check those things for free on Prop Wire, which we showed at the beginning. So if you didn't get to see the beginning of the video, go back. We look at a property here in Florida that's going for auction on Thursday. We do a comp real quick in Prop Wire, and then we also look at the parcel ID, look at the lines. Those are kind of key things, though. And of course, you want to make sure that there's nothing crazy going on in title with a whole bunch of extra liens with the city. Yeah, those would be the quick tips.
Nice. Yeah. All right. Just to round this out, everyone, thank you so much, guys, for the question, guys and gals. It's so great being on here and just having the interaction. Everyone asks questions and stuff. So just remember, there's a free book. If you're just getting started, this is a place to start. There's a link in the description below. There's a lot of online videos and stuff that you can watch and go through. And it's just super awesome. We used to sell it for like $100, $97. Then we dropped it $27 and now it's free, which is crazy. So click the link below, grab that. And if you want a little bit more hand holding, a little more coaching, a little more mentoring, you can also, there's a link below as well. And let me just throw up this QR code here that you can also scan. It'll cover some of Josh's face. But if you scan that code, you will, you can book a call and you can actually come join Josh on an auction in Houston, which is pretty flippin' cool. So scan that code and go back and watch this video if you hopped on late, because there's a lot of great stuff in it. And we go live every Tuesdays and Thursdays at 1 p.m. And so make sure you catch us again on Thursday. I think we got some pretty cool stuff planned for us then. So until then, just keep putting some work into this, and we'll see y'all in the next one. All right.
Peace.
See you, everybody.